All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today on this beautiful Tuesday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. For a few of you, I'm not able to allow you to talk. Denise Joy says you got to update you got an older version of Zoom, so you got to do a Zoom update. Oh, there you go. As always, we want to make sure that we start our day off by taking massive action. And that action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome, sending yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trust in your education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing. Obey your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So, if everybody can hear me loud and clear, just drop me one in the chat and we will get things rocking. Appreciate you, Benit, Joy, JC. See him coming in. Beautiful. All right. So let's take a look at some fundamentals. We had some quite a bit go on over the weekend and yesterday that we need to chat about. So let's see. Here we go. And we'll start with today and we'll work our way backwards. All right. So today we got Euro area GDP grows more than expected. Euro area economy expanded by 0.3% in Q1, the most since Q3 of 2022, beating the market expectation of a 0.1% expansion and indicating a strengthening recovery in the region, followed by a mild recession last year. Among the largest bloc economies, Germany and France, their GDP is expanded by 0.2%, while Italy grew by 0.3%, and Spanish GDP rose by 0.7, all above market estimates. All right, so you got the economy picking back up in the Eurozone, right? Yeah, German retail sales rebound more than expected. Also a boost for the euro. And China manufacturing growth eased slightly. All right, so some of those impacts in the Australia, New Zealand area. All right, so that's kind of the updates for today, for this morning. Now let's walk backwards. Well, today we have GDP for Canada, employment cost index for the United States, consumer confidence for the United States, employment change and unemployment rate for New Zealand. You got a bank holiday in China. You got final manufacturing PMI for the yen, and then you got Governor Orr speaking later on tonight, right? So that's to finish out today. Let's go back to Monday. Monday, you had PMI data come in the Eurozone below expectation, right? So you got mixed data coming out of the Eurozone. Then last night, you had retail sales for the Aussie come in below expectation, and quite a bit below expectation, right? So we saw a downturn in the Australian dollar last night, right? So we'll take a look at some of those Aussies there. Moving back, we also saw yesterday, there was a bank holiday in Japan on Sunday into Monday, and we saw the yens take a make a relatively large move. We don't know if the Bank of Japan actually intervened or not. They haven't confirmed or denied. They're choosing to stay silent. They're choosing to stay silent. how the reporting works is the reports for purchases of currency um, gets reported at the end of each month, and they exclude the last, I believe it's 5 business days. So Japan doesn't have to report whether they actually intervened or not until the end of next month, right? So we won't know if they actually intervene until the end of next month. So it's keeping the market kind of in limbo, trying to figure out, hey, what happened? Was it market jitters because of the levels that we were getting to, or was it more about the Bank of Japan actually stepping in and intervening as we kind of expected, right? So but with those yens, right, took that sharp turn, and then we're getting rebounds. As we talked about, we might see if it occurred, right? Get strong rebounds in those crosses. So those are pulling back at the moment, right? The dollar yen did top 160, and then got a sharp push down. I haven't been at 160 since April of 1990. So we'll continue to monitor the yen and see what happens with the Bank of Japan and see how the market also responds. You have hedge funds that are buying or selling a lot of yen, right? The market is completely against yen strength at the moment. Um, and that's why you're seeing these retracements as you are, because folks are still selling the yen like crazy. So it'll be interesting to see how things develop there. All right. So we'll continue to monitor that. And that's on the war front. Um, I don't have any articles up at the moment, but on the war front in with Israel, you have United States diplomats over in the Middle East working to negotiate a ceasefire. So you're seeing oil pull back. Um, you're seeing oil pull back to around 80 some odd dollars a barrel because they're working on these ceasefire negotiations. Now, the conversations are getting interesting in these negotiations because you also have the International Crime Committee, I believe is what the ICC stands for. They're also looking at potential uh, um, warrants for the arrest of some high-ranking officials in Israel and Hamas. And so the United States is also trying to negotiate with the ICC to keep those warrants from being issued, because they could be issued this week, to allow for these negotiations to move forward. If those warrants are issued, it's likely to stop those negotiations altogether and cause a move negatively when it comes to the situation and the ceasefire to just be completely taken off the table. So those negotiations are happening this week. So you're seeing kind of a slowdown in oil, and things are kind of in limbo at the moment because the market is waiting on this. And we also have rate statement coming from the United States this week, right? On Wednesday, back to the data, we have ADP, non-farm employment change. We got final manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing PMI, JOLTS job openings for the United States, all before we have the FOMC meeting at 2 o'clock, right? So a super busy day on Wednesday, right? We got some monetary policy meeting minutes for the yen coming out Tuesday night. Then on Thursday, you got CPI for the Swiss franc. You got unemployment claims for the dollar. Governor Macklem speaks out of Canada. And then on Friday, you also then have your regular cycle of reports with your average hourly earnings, non-farm payroll, unemployment rate, final services PMI, ISM services PMI. So busy second half of the week. So we could see the market kind of move sideways today. as we await all of the information that is set to come out starting tomorrow. All right, along with the ceasefire negotiations and things that are happening in the Middle East. All right, Benny, good morning, bro.
Ryan, good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody. How you doing this morning, Ryan?
I'm doing all right, man. How you feeling?
Doing great, man. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Um, Anything top of mind for you from a fundamental perspective?
No, man, you pretty much covered it all. Looking at the numbers out of Europe with the GDP, I'm still in the back of my mind. I've got, I want to see. I don't know if they're gonna cut rates in
You don't
June.
know if they will?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm still kind of, because there's a lot of data in between, right? So we just saw,
Yeah,
you know, good growth coming out of there for the GDP number. I know what they're saying, but but a lot of these central banks were saying they were going to cut rates coming into the year. I mean, and then not to the extreme levels that the market assumed, but they were saying
right,
they're going to cut rates. You see what's going on in the United States, where it just continues to dwindle down in regards to the number of cuts that they may make from six, from the market thinking six to Fed thinking three to now possibly one and not at all. So that's what I have in the back of my mind. It's just as we approach June, just keeping an eye on that euro, keeping an eye on the ECB, and seeing
yeah,
if they actually cut rates in June.
yeah. I dig it. I dig it on that. The inflation also, right, is still proving sticky in the Eurozone as well, right? Sitting around
Yep.
2.4%. So I
Yeah. But
definitely, I definitely feel you on that thought.
right, because one of the from the guard, it was just the concern, right, was about rates at the levels that they are stifling growth, right, and
Yeah,
expansion for the economy, and it just came in better than expected.
yeah,
So
yeah,
of course I could be wrong. We'll see come June. Like I said, there's a lot of data in between those times, which is why they all say now, hey, we're data dependent. But I don't know. I don't see that happening. That's a pretty decent number today. It came in above expectations on the GDP. So
yeah.
we'll see.
We shall, bro. We shall for sure. Team, you guys got any questions from a fundamental perspective?
Of course I do. So it's like, how are they going to manage those talks when there was just a missile strike in Ukraine last night? So,
So two separate scenarios, right? You got Ukraine and Russia. That's a completely different animal. Um, and there are more sanctions being put on Russia. You
okay,
also had the United States pass this, I want to say it was like $2.5 billion um aid package last week to send aid to Ukraine, also to send aid to Israel as well. But that aid to Ukraine was so that they could purchase weapons and things like that. So that scenario is different from the ceasefire scenario in Israel between Israel and Hamas. Um, so, because also you have Benjamin Netanyahu also desiring to expand his attacks to another city that has over a million Palestinians, right? Um, and they're trying to avoid that as well. So that's where the ceasefire negotiation comes in the Middle East with Russia and Ukraine. And that one's still ongoing. Like I said, the United States provided them quite a bit of cash and military equipment so that they could re-up and continue moving forward again in their fight against Russia.
and my second part is, do you think there'd be more growth in China now since they released their crypto EFT?
I think that's gonna be that's yet to be seen. It could. It could, because there, from what I understand, there's a lot of countries that are working on crypto EFTs also. And from what I was listening to yesterday, it sounds promising. It sounds promising. So it definitely could lead to some growth. Um, but I'm not sure. You know, I haven't dug in as much on the crypto side as I probably should. But it could. It definitely could. Right. And that it could also lend to some other conversations happening when it comes to other countries and how other countries get funding from China um, and support in different ways. So that could also be an interesting conversation. Yeah.
Okay, bet, because I was like, I wonder if this had anything to do with a little bit of the talks having strength in the Aussie. So I was just checking.
Ah, the strength in the Aussie. I feel you on that. I don't know. I don't the with the Aussie, it's more about the growth in the economy overall. So I think the crypto piece could be more of a lagging impact, opposed to what's happening on the day to day and month to month with the actual growth. So that'll be interesting to see. That's something I'll definitely research and see what I can find. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Let's get to some charts. So DXY. You see, this is where we are, right? We're still in this retracement phase. Okay, still in this retracement phase. We got data coming up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we're pulling back now, and we could, right? We could likely continue to pull back, right, and get to this 104,852 level, right? Previous resistance becoming future support, right? So looking to see what happens here as price continues to make its way back. But we've been pushing long. Now we're getting this retracement. Okay. Um, so we'll watch the dollar and see how things transpire. This is where we are on the 4, right? On those fibs running to the upside. I believe that's it. Yeah. So this is where we are on the 4, and that's that retracement that you see there. We got a 618 on the 4, but we could push deeper, right? Just inside the A boundary on the 4. So we'll watch the dollar, see how the data comes out, see what the Fed has to say, and then we'll see how things transpire from there, right? But just range bound right now, which is expected ahead of the data and all of the data that we anticipate seeing. Dollar yen. This was that intervention. So let me go to the daily. Daily, here we are, right? We know we hit that daily D extension, and then look what happened, right? Pushed into that 118, 127 zone in that 160 range, 159. I think it was like 160, 190 was the high. And then we came back down. So we got an 80-20 on the daily time frame, right? So it's interesting how, regardless of the data or interventions that happen, right? It all pushes price right into our sweet spot. All right. So that's on the daily time frame. We got 80-20 on the UJ. We come down to the 4, and we got an 80-20 on the 4 as well. All right. Didn't get to that D extension. Strong push up, pull back. Now we wait to see what happens. Right. We wait to see what happens with the dollar. And we wait to see what happens and how the Bank of Japan responds as this week transpires, especially if the Fed comes in hawkish, talking more higher for longer, which is the expectation. Also, a lot of folks have changed their tone from how many rate cuts for the United States to if the United States will even cut rates this year. To Benny's point earlier. So we could see a hawkish Fed. If we see a hawkish Fed, you could see this UJ push back up into this 158, 160 range. The BOJ minister, the Minister of Finance of Japan, like I said, they were mute on if they intervened or not. But what he did say was nothing is off the table, right? He reiterated that statement. And he reiterated that they're not looking at a specific price point, they're looking at the volatility in the moves, right? The volume in the moves. So I'm looking to see what happens here, right? As we approach 160 again, do we see price turnover and move back violently to the downside, right? Is this the beginning of something larger that the Bank of Japan could be working on? So trying to keep the market at bay. So we'll watch and see how this goes and see what this retracement looks like on this 4-hour, right? But we could come back into, like I said, this 157 to 159 range. And then we'll see if we break back down to the downside on it. Okay. As we come down to the 1, you also have, thought we had, thought I had a fib running on this to the upside. Let's see. Maybe. Let's see. There we go. Right. And you see here on the 1, that intervention move, 80-20. Shallow retracement, pushed into the 118 and 127 zone, took off to the downside, took out the A. Right? So regardless of what happens, this zone is powerful. Right? This zone is powerful. So that's where we sit on the dollar yen, looking to see what happens with the retracement, see how deep we push back into the zone, and see how the dollar fares as we go through that experience. All right, questions on the dollar yen? Oh, cool. So watch those 80-20s. Quick look at Tesla. Benny, this was that the 80-20 I was talking to you about yesterday on the 4 on Tesla. All right, we saw Tesla push down to the downside with all of those concerns with China and what was going to happen there. And then you saw things change, right? Their investment in cheaper material. And then yesterday you had Tesla also announce this partnership with China. And you see Tesla just running back to the upside. So 80-20 on Tesla playing out beautifully long. So for all the stock traders out there, here you go, right? So potentially pullbacks and continuations to the upside for Tesla. So just a quick look there. Ben and I were talking about that yesterday. Some of these 80-20s on stocks that had played out in a beautiful way. So do that. Met him in his hotel. What you mean by that, Joy?
It was some Chinese businessman. They said did an unexpected visit to Elon Musk at his hotel, and the next thing I know, that's why I was like, Tesla started moving up. So
I don't know. I don't know about that part.
It's the battery. He wanted to invest in the battery or something with Elon Musk, and I can't think of I don't know what his name is.
Gotcha. I have to look that part up. I just know about the maybe it was because it did have to do that partnership with China in the batteries. I don't know if that was that individual, but yes, they partnered with China regarding battery technology, which China is ahead of the game with their battery technology on EVs, and then their cheaper material overall. So I'll look that up and see if I can find more about that. Donette, do I plan on holding the daily 80-20 on that UJ? That you're talking about, Donette?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am in it short. I am in it short. I have it's a smaller position. It's interesting because the majority of the market is selling yens when you look at investors, so in investor capital. So it's going to be interesting to see. Um, I I just, and this is me having a feeling, which I know the market doesn't care about my feelings, but I have a feeling that something more is going to come out of Japan as we move through this period of time and before their anticipated next rate increase in October. Um, I think because previously they talked about the weak yen not impacting inflation, not impacting their data overall. So it wasn't a, they try to downplay it basically. I have a feeling that that narrative is going to change, right? Because right now the market doesn't care about what the Bank of Japan is saying, or the finance minister, and they're selling yens like crazy. Um, and so I think there is going to come to a head, and also um, I think that there's going to be some developments in the Middle East that also call for safe haven movement that could kind of come together in one big interesting scenario. So like I told you guys before, right? I'm building these positions on these yens, and I'm still building those because I do believe that it's only so high that these are going to go, right? So small positions that I'm building. So I am looking at a longer term move to the downside at some point. And I'm dipping my toes in the water right now. So we shall see how things develop. I hope that made sense though. Long-winded answer to your question. We shall see. We shall see. So over to actually NZD Swissy, right? I believe Benny posted this one in the community, but 80-20 scenario here on the one, right? Shallow retracement 118, 127. We've been consolidating, started to make this move to the downside, trying to pull back a little bit now. But looking at this continued move to the downside to get to that 53,893 level. Okay, so that one is starting to move to the downside, and we'll look for pullbacks and continuations on this one.
That's a good one. I didn't catch this one. I was looking at I believe I posted
The
Euro
cat
Swissy
Swiss.
Cash Swissy. Yep.
Yeah,
To the downside.
Okay.
This makes sense though, right? Swiss cross.
Yep. It absolutely does. Absolutely does. And so we'll be looking for a low price to then get back long. Because we know as we walk back from a larger perspective, we still have this 4 hour. It'll come in somewhere. But we still have this 4 hour 80-20 that we're sitting in. Right? We didn't get to the 382 here. We've been hovering in this range for quite some time, right? So overall, still looking long, right? It's just a matter of getting a low price to then be able to make that move to the upside, right? And even here on the sub fib, you got that 80-20 there, right? So this could even push deeper into this 382 on the 4 hour 533, right? So watch that one. This one's going to be interesting to see how deep it pushes before we get that reversal. But overall, looking for a low price to get long. But I am playing this 80-20 to the downside here on this NZD Swiss to then look for a low price. All right. Questions here? Nope.
Nope.
All right. Cool deal. So over to my notes. Aussie Swiss, right? Another Swiss pair. We see on the daily, right? We got this double top scenario here. We're pushing back down to the downside after breaking above this weekly level. All right, so we're headed back down. We come down to the 4, and this is where we are on the 4. We broke the cloud to the upside. Boom, right? Hit the matching D extension on this previous fib, right? So we're headed long. Broke back above these previous levels, right? I got to update those levels too, but we're pulling back now. So my question on this one, right, is what this pullback looks like. Do we just retest the cloud? And then what I'd like to see is something like this, but I may not get that.
It looks like a
Right?
head and shoulder, right?
Head and shoulders.
Mm-hmm. You
Or
look
yeah.
to the where the tip of the B is. You look left.
Right here you're talking.
Yeah.
All right. Good eye. Good eye. I definitely missed that. We'll watch that, right? We'll watch that and see, right? Previous resistance, see if it serves as support again as it did there. Okay. Good eye, Donette. Appreciate that. Yeah, drop them servings for Donette. Appreciate you. I like it. I like it. So let's watch and see, right? Do we get this type of action? That kind of fits into what I was thinking. But boom, do we get that type of action to the upside there? Right. And then we'll see what happens as we move higher. But so that's we'll see, right? So as we come down to the 1, here's your 80-20 on the 1, right? Previous 80-20 did not play out. We pushed to the D extension. So now here we are. Shallow retracement 118 127 zone. We've already got back to that 382, right? Do we get a deeper push? So now it'd be, let me take these out, it would be, right, a deep retracement on the 1 coming back and retesting these previous daily and weekly levels, right? So do we get this type of action? Low price, then get back long. Okay, falling right in line with that head and shoulders that done that saw. Okay, so that's where we are. See the deep potential here. Let's watch and see if we get that confirmation as we push deeper into the zone there. Okay, questions on the Aussie Swiss? Nope. All right, cool deal. Aussie yen. All right, now I'll look at these yens as we move through, but daily time frame. Just before that intervention, surprise, surprise, we hit the daily D extension at 104. All right, you hit that daily D extension, and then you saw the pullback. All right. Surprise, surprise. So here on the 4, this is where we are. All right. Just pressing sideways. You broke back below that 102 level. Let's see if we stay there. That'll be interesting to see. But, right. So we got a fresh AB boundary there on the 4. We come down to the 1. And as I was talking about with that dollar yen and how, regardless of how drastic those moves are, right? Boom. 80-20. Shallow retracement 118 127 zone collapse. Right? It's a beautiful thing. So on this one, we'll watch to see, right? See if we get a pullback, something like that. And then see if price makes its way back down. It'll be an interesting back and forth. So we'll see how things evolve. But that's what we could be looking at if we start to see the yen pick up some strength from whatever causes that, right? We got multiple things happening right now. So, but that was the 80-20 on the 1 hour on the Aussie yen, all within the intervention experience, right? Yes, it's amazing. So, questions on the Aussie yen? Nope. All right, cool. Aussie dollar. So we got that that Aussie data last night, right? We know overall we had this deep retracement and we're looking for price to continue moving to the downside. I got sub fibs running off the high down, right? So we're making this move to the downside, and Ben and I were talking about this yesterday. I don't see a case for dollar weakness, right? I don't see a case for dollar weakness. So overall, I'm still short on this pair, right? And looking for opportunities to continue to add. And I did add to this position here once we got into the 618 range on the 4. Could we push higher? Yeah, we could, right? Stop outside the A on that new position. So, but we got that data last night. It turned price over and started making its way down to the downside. So we'll see how things continue to evolve here. But looking for this one ultimately, right? Be it here or deeper in the zone to continue making its way to the downside with dollar strength. Right. So that's the C to D move on the 4. Looking for that to play out short. Okay. And then come down to the 1, you had your fresh AB boundary, and there's that retracement. Okay, so playing this one off the 4, looking for that C to D push to the downside. Questions on Aussie dollar? Yep, Jeremy, I got you. Whoops, I sent that to the wrong one. There's no questions on the Aussie dollar. Cool deal. CAD Swiss. This is one Benny posted in the community. Yep, no problem. All right. Overall, we know we're still long, right? We're long against the Swissy. However, looking for pullbacks and continuations. Okay. Looking for pullbacks and continuations. That trend line is dead. That would be like that. So we come down to the 4. Right, and you see this is the overall move back to the upside, right? There was an 80-20 on the 4-hour here, right? Trying to make our way to that 618, potentially deeper, right? We had a nice strong move to the upside and we're pulling back now. So we come to the 1, and here's your 80-20 scenario on the 1, right? Fibs running off the low, shallow retracement, 118-127 zone. We're starting to break down, right? So looking for this to continue moving short and get us to that 382 level, right? But then we're looking for a low price, 618, 786, 86. Maybe we get back to that support level, 65,988. And then we're looking to buy this thing back to the upside, right? So 80-20 is moving down, right? If you're able to take advantage of that, beautiful. Then we're looking for a low price and the CDD move back to the upside. Okay, so that's one Benny posted in the community yesterday, right? And it's playing out in a beautiful way, right? So continue to manage that trade to the downside, and then we'll look for a low price. Questions on the CAD Swiss? Nope. All right. The CAD-yen. We made that 900 pip move to the upside, got to the D extension, continued to run for a little bit, and then you saw the reaction with the intervention, right? So 900 pips to the upside over a few months, but then you come to the 4, right? All those D extensions got hit. Beautiful. On the 4, you had an 8-6 retracement. That D extension also got achieved there as we hit that D extension on the daily, right? But on the 4, we had a shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, right? So here on the 4, we got an 80-20, looking for a fresh AB boundary on the daily time frame. Got 80-20 on the 4-hour. See if we get a retracement. and then a low price, and then we'll see if we get back long against the yen in this pair. Right? So let's watch this one as well, sitting in that zone. Another scenario where we'll see if we continue to get a pullback, right? Take back some of that move, and then we'll see what the data tells us and what Jerome Powell has to say, and then we'll see how the market responds to that and see if we get another push to the downside. All right, so 80-20 on the 4 on the CAD yen. All right, that's the opportunity there. Okay. Questions on the CAD yen?
Nope.
All right, cool. And then, right, same thing as the others, right? You still had an 80-20 on the 1 hour time frame. And then you got the breakdown and take out the A. 30-minute, yep, I got you, JC. Right? 80-20 scenario there. Beautiful. So now we come down to the 30. Off the low. All right, yep, so that got taken out. So this is where we are. Yeah. Cool. There you are right there, JC. Down AB boundary. So let's see, right? If we get a high price. And if price settles in, give us an opportunity to get short. But then if price takes out the A, right, we'll look for price to continue moving in the other direction. Okay. You're welcome. All right. Euro Aussie. Respo to the 80-24 on this Euro Aussie. We'll get down to that 30 in a second. But we take a look at this. And this is another that Benny's been talking about for a while, right? Daily time frame, 618 retracement, and it's just been stuck in this range, right? Tried to break below that support level. We did, but we turned right back around and started moving back to the upside, all right? With that Aussie data last night and that Euro data this morning, pushing this thing back long. So we're still in this range, right? And we're looking for a price to continue moving to the upside to get us to the matching D extension here at 178, 146. All right, so we didn't take out the A, we come down to the 4. And even with all of this back and forth happening, all right, still within the AB boundary, still within that 618 retracement range, and now we're pushing back long, right? Had that consolidation there, boom, pushing back to the upside. Okay, so this is a longer term swing, but just like those yens, right? Sit waiting patiently. Benny said it, right? He doesn't think that the ECB is going to cut rates. So let's watch. All right. Down on the 1, there's your AB boundary. We're pushing back to the upside here. Okay. So pullbacks and continuations here is what we'd be looking for, right? So now we get down to the 30 and 80-20 potential on the 30. Shallow retracement. Look for price to push into that 118, 127 zone, potentially get to that 164, 510 level, right? And then boom, we'll look for that retracement, and then we'll be looking for a low price to get back long. All right, so let's watch that one develop there and see if we get that opportunity. Boom. All right. questions on the euro AUD? Appreciate you dropping that in the community, Reese. Boom. All right, cool. Euro Swissy. Here on the 4, 80-20 scenario. Shallow retracement 118, 127 zone, right? Will make sense if we get retracements on these euros, right? Euro basket. I'll go back and take a look at that, Reese. In this euro basket, right? For retracements, low prices, and then continuations long. So here on the 4, we got an 80-20. Boom. So we're looking for a price to turn over, make its way back down, and then give us the opportunity to get long. Like so. Okay. So there you are there. Boom. Come down to the 1. And you also have an 80-20 on the 1. All right. We're pushing back into that 118 level here on this push up. Let's see if we get the cows to turn this over and give us that low price. Okay. Okay, cool. So 80-20 on the 4 and 80-20 on the 1 to give us a low price, right? In this 2-part scenario. And then we can play the C to D back to the upside. Okay. Questions on the Euro Swiss? Nope. All right, cool. So as you guys are preparing to start your accounts, start your Darwins, right? Pick your spots. We talk about this all the time. Benny really pressed on it. You don't have to take every trade, right? But take the right ones, right? And the right ones meaning the right ones that fit you and your trading plan. Okay, the ones that meet your criteria. Okay, you only need, with the amount of capital that we're able to work with, you only need 1 or 2 positions. Right? You only need 1 or 2 positions. So take your time and build it. Right? So that's the Euro Swiss. No questions here. Cool. Take a look at this pound yen. There we are. All right, we're headed to that D extension at 201. This is going to be interesting to see what happens here, see how things transpire. All right, do we continue to push through the level and get there? We broke all of these weekly, daily, and monthly resistance levels to the upside. All right, I told Benny yesterday I was surprised that we got to this 200 level, but we did. We definitely did. Now it'll be interesting to see what happens, to see if we get price to turn over and start making its way down, or do we continue to run long? Okay. But we do have, right, 80-20 on the monthly, 80-20 on the weekly, right? Decision. Do we end the week in indecision? We'll see. Okay. Then coming down to your 4. All right. Coming down to your 4, you pushed into that 118, 127 zone. We had that consolidation. We broke up into the zone. So we got 80-20s on all of our higher time frames. All right. It is, Donette. It is for sure. All right. So now let's see what happens. Now let's see what happens. You see that's that intervention pulling back. All right. Are we able to stay below, turn over, continue moving down? We'll see. 80-20 is on all of our higher time frames. And then on a 1, it's a fresh AB boundary. Okay, so let's continue to monitor this one and see if we get the catalyst to turn this back over and push it back down. Okay. Not a ton of pound data this week, but next week we could see some pound data come out that could give us some insight as well on the UK and the happenings there. All right, so that's where we are on the pound yen. Any questions here? No? Cool. Euro dollar. We're range bound right now. Okay, we got this crown pattern working itself out. Has support there. We broke that support, pulled back. We're retesting that support now, and we're trapped in this range. Okay, it'll be interesting, right? The battle between the euro and the dollar. But here we are on the 4, trying to make our way back deeper in this retracement zone, in this down retracement zone. So we'll see how deep we push here, right? Could we get back to this 50% 618 range before we turn over? We'll see. All right, on the 1, we've already got a deep retracement. And now we're just consolidating in that zone. Okay, so let's see if we get the catalyst to turn this back over and push it down. If we don't, right, we could take out the A on the 1, and that'll tell us that we got a deep retracement on the 4. Right, and then we'll go and we'll track this off the 4, track that retracement, look for a high price to then get back short. Okay, overall, I'm short here. We got 80-20 on the weekly time frame and a crown pattern. We got this crown pattern on the daily time frame. A bullish, a hawkish Fed. So I'm overall bearish. It's just a matter of where does that high price come in at. So that's what I'm looking. That's what I'm looking for. Looking for some confirmation of price turnover, making its way back down at a high price. So that's where we're on the euro dollar. Questions here? Nope. All right. All right. And we'll wrap it up with the pound dollar. This is where we are on the daily time frame. All right, pushing back up. We broke through these daily support levels and we pulled back. Okay, we pulled back. We're retesting those levels that we broke through. So again, right, question of just how deep does that retracement go? Right, could even come back into this 126, 712 range. Okay, come down to the 4. All right, and we got a back and forth happening as we sit in this range, but on the 4, we got a deep retracement. All right, 786 level. It's a matter of what happens, right? And this is off of an 80-20. So what happens from here, right? Do we continue making our way long, or do we turn over and ultimately take out that A and continue short? That's yet to be seen. Data dependent. But we come down to the 1, and here's an 80-20 that played out beautifully. Boom. All right. So looking for high prices for me, looking for high prices to get short. Okay. So that's where we're on the pound dollar. Questions? Anything that we covered this morning? No. Benny, anything on your mind this morning, bro, before we wrap it up?
No, so great session. This is always right. Pick your spots, wait for your setups. I mean, we make it, trading is never easy, but our concept is fairly simple. Just wait for your setups, right? Figure out your time frame that works for you and look to trade the zones on that time frame. That's it.
That's it. That's it, my man. I appreciate you, bro. Good people. We will be back at it tomorrow morning. Glad to have you back, Miss Denise. Glad to see it. Glad to see you in the community and in the chat. Glad to see you. Good people. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. We'll continue to monitor things, see how things go. And until then, we'll see you in the community, right? If you're able to, tap into the accountability group tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, we'll talk later. Peace.